Alrighty, welcome back to another trade recap. Today I am down around $1,000 on the Nasdaq. Let me show you guys my executions, even though I did lose, so I don't know why you guys wouldn't believe me. But today I'm down around $1,000 trading the Nasdaq. Again, another day where I just followed my rules, and I'm completely happy with taking this trade. I think there were some things that I could have done better, and some things that I can learn from this trade. And I want you guys to keep that in mind when you guys lose, right? If you guys follow your rules and you guys lose a trade, don't get upset over it, right? Because you followed your rules. You did what you were supposed to do. Now just let the market do its thing, right? You did what you were supposed to do, but just let the market do its thing. However, there's always something to learn. There's always something to learn, right? And I want to go over that with you guys today throughout this trade recap. So let me just take you guys back through price and kind of what my bias was coming into the day. So, coming into the day, coming into market open, we had this 4-hour order block that we were continuing to respect, and we also had this big 4-hour bearish fair value gap and this daily fair value gap that we continue to respect. And then keep in mind that we also tapped back into the daily changes state yesterday, and we had this high time frame bearish SMT with these internal highs. So right off the bat, I want to see us go lower on the higher time frame. On the higher time frame, the bias is bearish. However, I want to see us go higher to then go lower, right? In order for us to go lower, we must go higher. So, coming into market open, with that being said, we had this 1-hour bearish fair value gap that we were continuing to respect. And coming into market open, what I wanted to see was why did it get out of replay mode? What the fuck is this? So coming into market open, what I wanted to see I wanted to see price come up and take London high, which was resting right above us. I wanted to see us come up, take London high, and then have our manipulation leg down towards all this generated sell side liquidity that we had been generating, right? We had these internal lows, we had London, and we had Asia. So I wanted to see us come up, take London high for us to then have sell side of the curve and go have our low resistance liquidity run and take out all this low resistance liquidity. So coming in market open, I was very patient and we did exactly what I wanted to see, right? We came up and we took London, okay? So at this point, I'm staying patient, right? Because I don't want to take a change down here. I don't want to take a change down here and target, London and have my break even at this internal low. So I want to stay patient. I want to see some internal manipulation. So we come down, we come all the way back up. We have our internal manipulation, exactly what I wanted to see, right? Standard deviation, I then mark out standard deviation. Standard deviation projection is right at Asia low, okay? So at this point in time, if we get below this change, I'm going to take this and I'm targeting Asia, and I'm going to have my break-even point at London. So what ends up happening? We come down, we run through this bearish fair value gap, we have an inverse fair value gap, and we close below the change. However, this close was way below the change, and I always wait for closes for confirmation to enter a short or a long. I always wait for confirmation. And at this point in time, I don't want to take a short here when this closes and target London for my break even and then have a fucked stop all the way up here and have a negative RR for my break even point, or to take a contract off, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to wait for a pullback into possibly this 1 minute change or this 1 minute bearish for value gap. And at this point, keep in mind, we also have had this 5 minute change. We've had this 5 minute change. So we've had the high time frame change. So this is giving me more confirmation. And at this point in time, we were respecting this 30-minute bearish for value gap, and we had a huge wick. So at this point in time, I'm very confident that we want to go and have our low resistance liquidity run. So we come down and we take this internal low. Now, we end up putting in a bullish SMT with this internal low. ES never takes this internal low and has yet to take the internal low still. We never take this internal low, so we have a bullish SMT. Now, I noticed this bullish SMT, and I want to say this. I was completely fine with putting on risk with this bullish SMT if the setup presented itself. Now, let me tell you why. Because on the higher time frame, we've been respecting bearish order flow, and we have all these high time frame bearish SMTs. This one, and then we also have, it wasn't the cleanest, but we have a bearish SMT with Asia high at this point in time. ES never took Asia high, NQ did. We had a bearish SMT with Asia high. So I want to see these high time frame bearish SMTs, these external SMTs, spark the move lower. So I was completely fine with taking a trade. Now, let me go over the thing I can learn from this. The thing I can learn from this is I took my entry right here. When we tapped back in to this fair value gap, to this bearish fair value gap, and into this 5-minute change, I took a short. I put my stop a little above this tiny 1-minute bearish fair value gap and a little below this recent high. And I was targeting Asia with my break-even point at London. Now, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this is I can be more patient, especially with an internal bullish SMT, because I am keeping that in mind throughout this trade. With this internal bullish SMT, I can be more patient and wait for some sort of displacement through this bearish fair value gap to the downside to see a bearish reaction out of it, because that's what I want to see. So at this point in time, we're continuing to respect this bearish fair value gap. We really haven't kind of closed above it at all. So at this point, right after this candle, this 7:51 a.m. candle, this should have been the time where I'm really looking for an entry and saying, okay, well, let's see what we do out of here. Because if we have a bearish reaction and we displace through this recently opened up bullish fair value gap and we create an inverse, then I'm going to enter short and I'm going to have my stop above this high and then target London for my break even in Asia for full TP. However, like I said, I enter off here. And that is the thing I can learn from this is be more patient on entries when we have an internal bullish SMT. Because if I'm more patient here, I end up don't taking this trade. And like I said, I'm completely fine with taking the trade, but obviously there's things that we can learn from this. So that's the one thing that I can learn, and we end up coming up and we getting stopped out. And I was off for the day because, to be completely honest, price action was obviously not the fucking greatest. I mean, it just wasn't great on the higher time frame. We're chopping. Price action was just not the greatest throughout the whole day and continues to be very choppy. But like I said, happy with the trade that I took. And the one thing I can learn from this is just be more patient on entries when we have an opposing internal SMT, right? If this is an external SMT, like let's say we have an SMT with Asia low, I'm not taking this trade at all. I'm completely risk off and I'm just being patient and I'm only looking for longs at that point. But because we take this internal SMT and we were so bearish and we were respecting high time frame bearish order flow, I'm completely fine with taking this trade. It is my model. However, I just need to be more patient on my entries and wait for displacement and confirmation that we are still bearish when we take this internal low. So that was my trade I took today. Again, I'm down around $1,000 trading, but we have the rest of the week left and we'll see how it goes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and then I'll catch you in the next one.